here on the left-hand side, let me go to my laser pointer. And I'm a global account manager here at AUVESY, responsible for the OEM business as well as the food and beverage industry. So here on the right-hand side, you see my colleague, Jochen Lang. He is the head of product management. And in fact, he will support me during the presentation and will also partly give you an overview or an outlook where VERSIONDOG is going to be in the future. First, I would like to start with an introduction of AUVESY and our technology VERSIONDOG, of course. So, very briefly, very high level. So AUVESY stands for Automated Versioning System. And we simplify automation just by the fact that we enable you to automate your day-to-day processes, right? And we will see during the presentation what the benefits for our customers are. The company was founded in 2007, even though the history is quite longer, but I don't want to go in detail here. We've reached the number of 95 employees, and as you see here, that's VERSIONDOG, the little guy here. We have already more than 1,500 installations on a global scope. As you see here, we are active in more than 45 countries. So the number of installation basically reflects the number of customers, right? And also maybe to give you a little bit context here on some AUVESY terminology. So VERSIONDOG manages and handles more than 4.5 million components. So what is a component? From an AUVESY perspective, a component is always a project related to the automation environment, okay? Let's give you a very simple example. Let's say you have 50 controllers, 50 PLCs, and 50 robots, right? That would be 100 components you're able to manage and handle within a project tree included in VERSIONDOG, right? Just to make you aware of. But I will cover this point during the presentation a little bit more in detail. If we take a look on the map, so you will see the global presence we have. So this is our headquarters based in Germany, the southwest part. We do have sales offices in North America. And yeah, I was quite optimistic because I put this pin here in China already, even though the sales offices are not officially launched or opened, but we're really close to open our sales offices there as well. So anything dark blue is direct AUVESY. All the yellow pins are global partners. It's quite important for us to leverage global partners in our structure because that enables us to provide in the specific countries during commissioning phase, installation, configuration, but also training, so services, as well as support anything in local language. And that's why we leverage a lot of partners. So let me give you by the way, here's the little guy VERSIONDOG. So let me give you a very brief overview what VERSIONDOG does in a high level perspective, right? So down here, we have your machine level or field level or your factory floor, whatever you want to call it. And VERSIONDOG takes care of your factory. So basically, VERSIONDOG is taking a snapshot of all your automation devices, meaning the program data which are running on those devices. And in any case of a disaster, shutdown, unexpected hardware damage, let's say, etc., you have many examples, you're able to restore your whole factory based on that snapshot, right? So basically what it does is automatic backups, version control. Version control means always a comparison between two versions, a side-by-side comparison, and also getting documentation out of VERSIONDOG, right? The architecture is quite simple. We do have a server. It's on customer side. It's not cloud solution. So all the program data are on customer side. And of course, for the software engineers, for the automation guys, they need the connection to the server. And this is going to be provided by clients. So the clients are the connection to the server, of course, right? And a typical workflow for generating or creating a new version would be to make a checkout to get the project, the latest version of the project on your local computer. right? This is done by your client. All the modifications are going still to be in the third-party editor. Let's say you have a Siemens PLC, you're going to modify the project in TIA Portal or Semantic Manager. Nothing will change for you in this process. So then you download the new version to your field here, let's say on your PLC, and once you're done, you verified your version, you check the new created version in VersionDog. And again, you start a comparison between those two versions. That's the workflow for version control. The other workflow, quite important, is to set and forget automatic backups, meaning that if you want to secure your PLC, your HMI, your robot, you configure upload jobs. We call it an upload job because basically you go from field level to one level above, so you upload the program data, right? And that's quite easy because it's based on a schedule. You can preset a schedule and say, I want to secure this controller once in a week, once in a day, any 8 hours, whatever you want to set up. Okay, pretty high level what VersionDog does. So let's have a look to a simple everyday scenario, right? So everything is running perfectly, your machine is running, uh, all is good, and then suddenly, for some reason, your PLC goes down. You have to replace the hardware, so you swap it out, and as a maintenance guy, then different questions appears, right? So you think, okay, now you need to load the program. So first question would be, where is it? Where is the program, right? And which program belongs to that specific PLC, let's say, or where is the project belonging to that PLC? So you see what I do? I separate project side to program side because the program is always the program running on the device rather than the project is somewhere installed or stored at all in a server system, right? And how do you know if the program on the device is really coming from the latest version? Is there a backup? If so, is there a change history? Do you really understand who changed what, where, when, and why? Like, do you have a user? Do you have a timestamp? Is there a comment? Do you really understand in which data block, in which program block the modification was made? And as a maintenance person, it's even worse, right? So we said that the PLC went down. So now you're running around to find either the latest version of the project or to find out where the program is, right? So is it stored somewhere in a computer, on the laptop, on a server, some hard drive or USB sticks in a directory, whatever it is. On top of all those challenges, this is supposed to be a reflection of the daily scenario, right? And on top of these challenges, we have the COVID situation, which make things even more complicated, right? So due to COVID, we go through more restrictions because more work has to be done remotely or from home office, which is a kind of, very, very challenging if we're working about a production environment, right? So we have to ensure physical distance. We have to avoid interaction in close space, which again, quite impossible in a factory production, right? But still avoid contact, meaning that you have no physical contact, but also no exchange on hard drives, on USB sticks. Your laptop equipment has to be all, by your own, and therefore they start to create a sort of workforce bubbles, creating specific teams and sticking with them rather than having too much exchange with other colleagues. So taking an example, as a maintenance guy, you have usually big teams where you do modifications by one team member. The other day, the other team member does modifications. But even due to COVID, with smaller teams in production, you still have to run backups. You still have to do your modifications on the project side, and you have to ensure the availability of your program code in order to optimize in order to minimize all your downtime, right? And this is exactly what VersionDog does, right? It gives you a straightforward answer to all those challenges, and it does it quickly, from one single source for all your devices. Just by the fact that you automate all your backup jobs based on a time schedule, you create an upload job and you say, I want to save my PLC, my HMI, my robot once in a week. That again creates more maintenance capacity. So the maintenance guys or the engineers, the automation guys, whoever it is, they can focus on more, important things rather than walking around and taking manual backups from your machines. And you get full clarity, transparency, because you have a full change history. So you know exactly who of my colleagues did modifications. There is a timestamp, and there is even a comment which tells you, yeah, there was a bug fixing here, or I implemented a new device, etc., etc. And based on that clarity, you even increase your safety strategy because you absolutely understand if the modification which was made on the device, was it made authorized or unauthorized? And then you can quickly react. So how does VersionDog accomplish all those benefits? Pretty easy. I will highlight the main core functions of VersionDog. First of all, as I said, we automate your whole backup strategy. That enables you to have a fast disaster recovery that saves a lot of time, and time equals money. And you even get an alarm if there are discrepancies, because again, it's not only change management, it's more to bring clarity from one single source. So you really understand if there were modifications, it will show up, or it will even give you an email, which is basically the alarm. It tells you that there was a change made, and then you can better check your projects. The second pillar is version control, and version control equals always a comparison, a side-by-side comparison of all your projects, meaning that we highlight on a graphical view where are the changes, in which program block, and in the specific language. All right, so let's say you made modifications in ladder logic, you will see in ladder logic what's the difference. And the third pillar is the documentation, because it's quite easy to get reports or documents out of VersionDog, creating PDFs of your change history, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so let me wrap up everything a little bit, right? So what would be your benefit by using our technology? I would start with this because that's a quite important point, is to reduce your costs. So you centralize all your programming projects. They're all in one place. Everybody knows where to go. That saves a lot of time, right? Then you use one standard workflow, either for modifications or creating backups, and that becomes second nature to the employees. That saves a lot of time. And you automate fully backup jobs, and they even detect and identify changes, which saves you a lot of time. And time, as we said already, is money. The second part is here more clarity. So you increase your program quality because you always know who changed what, where, when, and why. So as you see, it's not only change management, right? It's a whole system. And that point here guides me to my last benefit, which increases your security. Because of that clarity, you easily detect authorized or unauthorized changes. That enables you, even on running systems, on running control programs, that enables you to react and build up your strategy. And those benefits are all interlinked, right? And that's why we simplify your automation. But enough PowerPoint. I would say let's go to a very brief demonstration, live demonstration. So I have both installed on my laptop. I have a VersionDog server as well as the clients, and I would like to show and highlight very briefly the typical workflows within VersionDog, right? So I'm shifting now here. Let me show you first my desktop. So those are all the specific clients you have in order to connect with the VersionDog server, right? But I would like to highlight just the user and the admin client. The user client basically is that client where most engineers are going to spend time with. So going to my user client, you see all the components checked in the VERSIONDOG server, right? You see, this is the VERSIONDOG server. If I click on it, anything disappears, meaning that I haven't much locally on my computer yet. Okay, so you remember when I started the presentation, I was talking about components. This is exactly what I was mentioning, that you have projects, 50 controllers, 50 robots, are 100 components you have to manage, or you're able to manage in this project tree on the left-hand side within VERSIONDOG, okay? Here you have a very, very nice search function, so you can just look for all the S7 projects, click on it, it will filter all S7 projects, and look what happened if I click on one of those components. On my left side, the project tree goes right in the directory where this project is included, right? So very useful search button. The same works also for the project tree itself, so you can search also for specific projects here, and then just by clicking on next, it will go to all the 7 projects from Siemens. All right. So the folders who are grayed out here are checked into the server. The folder which is yellow, I already checked it out, so I have the projects local on my laptop, right? So if I go to a Siemens project, quite familiar with Semantic Manager, that's why I would like to highlight this project here. You see the complete change history. So the last modification was made by Georgios, that's me. You have a timestamp, you have your comment, so you can even say, oh, there was a change request with this number, and somehow he needed to adapt the logic in the control system, right? And if you go down here, you see the results in between version 19 up to version 20. So there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 differences found when I modified the version 20, right? And just by writing and compare with the previous version, you see the side-by-side comparison I was mentioning earlier on, and you see all the modification from version 19 up to 20, right? And if you take a look on the down left corner here, we see 5 differences. And more interesting is here that you can say, all right, in my basic project, I can check the program blocks affected by these modifications, even in the specific networks, right? You can zoom in here, you can zoom out, and just by clicking on next, it will go to the next difference, again to the next difference, which is now in another program block, and so on, right? So this reflects basically a typical workflow from when it comes to creating and modifying projects. If you want to have all those changes documented somehow, or you want to create a PDF export, you just mark all the blocks. So it will always show the blocks with differences, not all the blocks from the project. So I'm going to mark them all, Control A, then show the print version in detail, and look what happens is that we easily create a report, again, a side by side. We go from version 19 to 20 and see all the differences in the objects with the comments, all right? And now I'm scrolling and have all my differences highlighted. This is the third pillar. You remember there was a third pillar which covers partly the documentation. All right, so let me switch very briefly to the admin client, okay? So that's the second important client, because in this client, let me close this first. This is the admin client. In this client, yeah, of course, you have the global settings, et cetera, but most important, you create your upload jobs, which is the backup, basically, of your PLC or your robot or whatever automation device it is. So you go to jobs, you open this, you go to the directory in your project tree, which is exactly a reflection of VERSIONDOG server, right? You go to the specific project, and just by drag and drop, you pull it here in this window, and your configuration box appears here, all right? Let me start a soft PLC because I have exactly this program. I've downloaded it to my soft PLC, so we can even run a backup job live here in this webcast. So I just put my PLC on run mode. this project is downloaded. Now I start my configuration. I will say, yes, I will preset a schedule according to a schedule. And I want to secure to upload this PLC once in a day, okay? So every day at 1 a.m., I will get a backup job. All right. Here you have to implement the IP address and check if the CPU is in the right slot, right here. And that's it. You save it. You see how fast it was? It didn't take me 1 minute to set up this upload job. So now we can either wait until 1 a.m. to get a backup, or we can execute this selected job and manually, right? So right here. Still running. And the result will appear down here in this one window. And the good news is, once you created a backup job, meaning that you made all the configuration and you saved it, you can always start and execute a backup job also from the user client. See what happens. So I run a job, and the result tells me that I do a comparison with the previous backup, but also I compare this project to the server version, which is stored in VERSIONDOG. Okay, and it gives me a little alert here. So let me check what this is. I go to event log. The warning. Oh yeah, it's in German. It says that there is no backup existing. There's no previous backup existing. That's why it gives me this little triangle here. But the backup to the server version are equal. So if I would run another job, which just I'm gonna do it just to show you that this warning will disappear, and then we will be equal. Because then we do have a base version of the backup, and then we can run the comparison properly. There it is. So you see the backup with the previous backup are on the same status, they're equal, as well as the backup with the server version is equal as well. Okay, so I'm going to shift to the user client once again and go to the right directory, which is production line 4. It's this project. So we just uploaded this project. So far, we see the changes. If I go to jobs, you see the timestamp of today, November 25th, backup number, and I see the results here. And from here, I could start another job. So I just have to create the first job in the admin client. And from then, I can always start a manual job and execute it from the user client as well. Yeah, I think this was a very, very high level overview of the tool. It's much more powerful, but I don't want to bother you with details. The idea was just to give you kind of overall overview regarding the interface, regarding the specific clients. But at this point, I would like to hand over to my colleague Jochen, and he will give you a little outlook where VERSIONDOG will be in the future. Thank you so far for your attention.
Thank you, Giorgio, for your great, straightforward presentation. That makes it difficult for me to impress our audience now, but I will do my best. First of all, I have to share my screen now for my presentation. So give me a second. So I hope now all of you can see my presentation. Is it right, Giorgio?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. I hope you all can still follow me and you can understand me and see my presentation. So I finally would like to give you a few insights in our plans or thoughts for the future. And I would like to show you how we intend to realize our vision. The vision from AUVESY, we simplify automation or automation. We always or ask ourselves the question, why do we need a simplification now or in the future? There are several reasons why our daily work becomes more and more complex, and there are always new challenges. I would like to mention a few of them. They may seem familiar to you. This is certainly not a complete list, but only a few of the challenges we know from many of our customers. And I also would like to take the opportunity to invite you to share these thoughts with us, to share your thoughts with us. When you think of your challenges now, which ones come to your mind immediately? Or what tasks come to your mind that you would like to simplify immediately? You're welcome to send them to us in our chat or as an email after this webcast. Now I will show you the challenges I have selected for this presentation. A very common reason that challenges us is the growing complexity in your IT and OT environment and all the different devices. Centralized management is often difficult and only possible with the use of multiple tools. Not only the number of systems and devices is increasing, but also the amount of information and data. In order to use the information efficiently, the data must be accessible. You may need to merge and analyze them. The increasing number of new devices and systems is a financial investment. With this investment, the requirements for quality, quantity, and efficiency usually increase. Of course, because the investment must have a positive effect. Unfortunately, some events like COVID, for example, lead to more tasks with less manpower. Security has become more and more important because it must be possible to work on the system from any location and at any time. The system must be accessible and secure to realize this. It is very important for us to know these causes so that we are able to come up with a strategy to overcome all these challenges. For this reason, we work closely with you, with our customers, and focus on the actual situation. Next, I would like to give you an insight into the objectives we are currently working on. I need to look at the time. We are good. Existing devices, or not all of them are visible. The initial detection of all devices or the detection of changed or exchanged devices means an immense manual effort. To reduce this effort, we are working on a solution which makes it easier for you to find the devices in your factory floor, identify them, and easily integrate them into VERSIONDOG or your other systems which needs the informations. We would like to reduce or at least simplify the recurring daily tasks for you so that you always have an access to an up-to-date asset inventory. This brings me to my next example of how we can help you increase your efficiency in production and maintenance. Efficiency often depends on the actuality of this inventory information. Knowing which and how many devices you have in use does not only save money by reducing overstocks of your spare parts, it also reduces downtime caused by not having any spare part. To avoid such situations, we connect various systems and information to increase the quality of your decisions. Additionally, we would like to provide you with new helpful tools from AUVESY or from tools from our partners that help you to automate processes and simplify your automation. We want to support you so that you can focus on your important work. Yeah, and to realize this, let us work together to reduce your manual effort and increase your efficiency. And let us work together as partners to meet the challenge of the future. Yeah, this was really quick. Thank you for your attention. Giorgio, would you like to say or add anything to my presentation? And to all our audience, if you have any question, please do not hesitate to ask them. We try to answer the questions now. If there are any questions we could not answer now, we make sure that we give you an answer by email, or let's talk together in a private meeting. So, okay.
Yep. Yeah, thank you very much, Jochen, for your quick outlook. It was quite helpful. We do, in fact, we do have some questions in the chat box. So I would like to just mention a very brief one. I think it's already a very specific one. It's obviously existing customer. He's asking for. So most of our machines are running with Thematic Manager and HMI program WinCC. Yes. When do we reach the same level with TIA Portal 16? Yeah, I think this is already a very, very technical question. As far as I know, we support TIA Portal up to version 16. Maybe it makes sense to connect with this customer and specify a little bit what the real question is after that webcast. This is what I would like to provide. So don't worry, we will not leave your question open. We will just specify and then get the right persons in contact to you.
Yeah, it's difficult to give a exact answer about the date when we finish this. But what I can say is we are working continuously and very close with Siemens on this. But I think this we don't have the time to talk about all the details from the TIA integration. But if you're interested, we can talk about this in a private session, or we can give you some more information about the current TIA integration.
Yeah.
This is a good. We have a good question or a reminder from our colleague. Today we give you just an high-level overview about our plans or the current functionality in VERSIONDOG. If you want to find more information about our solutions, you can go to our homepage. And also, I want to invite you to join our usual webcasts in the future. Usually, we use this webcast to demonstrate and present our solutions with more details.
Yeah. So let me share my screen once again, because that's a good question. The question was, where can I find technical detail informations? And this is the homepage my colleague Jochen was talking about. It's VERSIONDOG info, as you see it here. It's an open platform, and I always call it like an open knowledge base for everyone, who has access to the internet, because here you find all information about VERSIONDOG, the roadmap, what's new in VersionDog, but also device tutorials. And here you see all the different manufacturers supported by VersionDog. And also, if you click, so let's go to Tier Portal because that was the question. So if you go click to Tier Portal, you see that we support Tier Portal up to version 16, beginning from VersionDog 8.0. And if you're interested in getting an entire tutorial, you just click on that button here and you will get the whole PDF of this. Again, many useful informations here on VersionDog info. The homepage my colleague was mentioning is at AUVESY.com. Here you see, for instance, all the add-ons. He was explaining, you know, we start to go from a single product more rather to a platform where we provide also image service for your Windows PCs or server. We provide a factory floor status. We have export modules. We have OPC UA interfaces, etc. So you will find all those informations on our homepage, as well as the upcoming webcasts, events. You see other webcasts coming up very soon. Yeah.
I have additional information, Georgios.
Yes. Yeah.
If you're interested in detailed informations, or you have some ideas or challenges to share with us, you also can find the product manager, which you can contact for your answers and your ideas. You can find this on the webpage Georgios showed us, and also inside of the new papers we have created, the one-pagers. There's also the contact on the bottom, so you can contact directly our expert about this add-on or feature you're interested in.
Yeah, another question would be, how do I notice, respectively, how will I be informed when new functionalities are being released? Jochen?
Sorry, can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, sure. So how do I notice, or how will I be informed when new functionalities are being released?
We try to really realize this once with our newsletter. All of our customers are inside our newsletter list, so we will send an urgent newsletter if there is a new important tool, or we do our webcasts. Planning is oriented on new features, so we try to use our webcasts to inform our customers immediately if we have released a new feature or add-on.
Mm-hmm. As well as, once again, if you go to VersionDog info, you see the roadmap. So what is planned and when is the release week of the new version 8.5, and what's coming up, what is scheduled for this version. Also here for the upcoming versions. If you don't have the newsletter, go to VersionDog info. I think this will help a lot.
This is the best indication for to know what's inside the next version of VersionDog. Sometimes it's not quite sure if we can finish a tool. So these are the yellow or orange. Is it yellow or is it orange?
Yeah, I think it looks like amber. Let's agree on amber.
Okay, in these features we cannot finally say if we are finished it for the next version, but
this
I'm
is
sure.
what is scheduled, at least.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe I would like also to show, because I think this is sometimes underestimated, but quite important. We do have a YouTube channel with a lot of useful videos here, where you can, specifically find kind of workflow, or also maybe some workarounds, how to use more in detail, explained how the user client is structured, et cetera, et cetera. So we do have additional add-ons like the Ares Logics and the TIA portal library management tool. So you will find a lot of recorded videos on the VERSIONDOG AUVESY YouTube channel.
There's also a video about the integration of tier. If I remember right, there was a presentation and a webcast about tier with Siemens, together with the expert of Siemens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So taking an eye or keeping an eye on the time, I would friendly close this session. Oh, hold on. They came another question just right away. Does it mean that we need to buy an extra license to use VERSIONDOG with tier compare to Semantic Manager? No, actually not. You don't have to buy a new license. So the question was, does it mean that we need to buy an extra license to use VERSIONDOG with tier compared to the Semantic Manager? No, you don't need to buy an extra license. I think we need to have an extra session here. Yeah, this is, yeah. I think we need to have an extra session here and clarify some topics. We will come to you.
Maybe the confusion is starting by the information about the add-on. There was an add-on who's called library management with tier.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have to there's a difference between our usual integrated features in the standard version of VERSIONDOG, and we also offer some specific add-ons to do more than the standard operations with tier.
Yeah.
But you will get an email from us to answer all your questions with a little more details.
Yeah. All right. So we are just in time. So I would like once again to thank you for being here today, for your time. Thank you also for your questions. We're going to wrap up afterwards. And I wish you a successful day.
Thank you, Giorgio. I had a lot of fun.
Bye-bye.
See you in the next presentation.
Yeah. All right. See you soon.